As it's now turned 7 o'clock, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Finance and Management Committee of Home Valley Parish Council. I'll introduce myself. I'm the chair of the committee, and I'm Councillor Michael Pogson. Richard is our clerk, and he'll be taking the minutes of this meeting, and he's identified as Home Valley Parish Council. So welcome everybody, and we do have a public question time. So if there's any members of the public who would like to speak at the public question time, could you please make yourself known either in the chat or vocally or however you wish. Okay, as no one's from the members of the public have made me aware that they would like to speak, we will move on. So item 2021-73 on the agenda, Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act 1960 amended by Openness of Local Government Bodies Regulations 2014. As a local parish council, meetings can now be recorded, and the chairman is going to check. I'm to check if anybody wishes to record the meeting to ensure reasonable facilities can be provided. As this meet, just to make you all aware, as this meeting is a virtual meeting, the deputy clerk will be recording the meeting, and it will be uploaded to the council's website at a later date. Would anyone like to make a further recording of the meeting? Liz is sticking her thumb at the camera, and I don't know if she's indicating something or not. I'm going to take that as a no. Okay, to receive apologies for absence. Have we any apologies, Richard?
We have an apology from Councillor Sweeney, who's having a COVID jab this evening, and Councillor Greaves will be attending, but he's going to be late. He's in another meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. To receive members and officers' personal disclosable pecuniary interest in its items on the agenda. Have we received any previous to the meeting?
I mean, we've obviously got them for our pay, so.
Okay, yes. Okay, doke. And to consider written requests for new DPI dispensations.
No, nothing.
Item 2021-77 to consider whether items on the agenda should be discussed in private session. We will be discussing the details of our staff members' pay as an item on this agenda, and I believe that we should take that in private session to provide, to protect their data. Has anyone, would anyone second that? And all those in favour? Okay, so down on the agenda we get to item 2021-86. That item will be taken in private session. Okay, doke. Okay, then 2021-78 to confirm minutes of the previous committee meetings. Everybody seen a copy of those minutes? Is everybody okay with them? Okay, there's just one item, Richard, if you could. The item 2021-67, change to the tax base. Did you manage to contact Kirklees Council regarding the change to tax base figure? And have we had an answer?
Yeah, I did tell people at a meeting of council. He basically said that it was down to the fact that Kirklees has to factor in the likelihood that they will be able to receive all the money that it's estimated that they need. And they feel because of everything that's going on COVID-wise and economy-wise that they won't be able to collect as much of the basically the benefit of the money that they would be getting in than they would normally. So it's essentially about the economic climate.
So they've made a calculation given the economic climate regarding to a default on people paying the precept.
Exactly,
and collecting it. Yeah,
they're anticipating that more people will claim council tax benefit. It's called something different now.
Yes.
Can't think what it's called now.
Thank you very much. That's a good enough explanation to me. Yeah, I don't think there's any other items in there. So we approve those meeting minutes. All those in favour? Thank you very much. And then now we get to accounts for payment, item 2021-79. To note the chairman of the council has not used any of her chairman's allowance during her term in office so far. That's to note. And that's still the case. Okay, we'll note that. Item 2, to approve the remaining transactions of the month-to-month schedules of payments for February. These are retrospective in that accounts have already been paid under regulation 5.58 of the financial regulations. Has everybody managed to see that schedule of payments? Okie doke. And everyone's okay with that? We need to approve that, so all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, and then to approve the transaction of the upcoming schedule of payments for March. Has everybody seen that? Again, that's to approve, so all those to approve. I'm taking Councillor Dixon's toasting with a cup of mug of tea as approval. Thank you, Councillor Dixon.
I had to brew it, so I'm supping it.
Quite right. Okay, item 2021-80, financial statements. To approve the accounting summaries, copies enclosed. Has everyone managed to get to them and had a look? Okay, so if Councillor Colley.
Last time we talked about the handelsman account and that it was paying 0 interest, but we were pleased with the service. But one of them, I've been looking at this because I've been doing the internal audit. One of them, there have been no transactions. We've made no interest, but we've been charged £25. Now, if we leave our money in there long enough, we'll have nothing. So I wonder if we could look at the one that has no transactions and see if we can find either an account that pays a tiny bit of interest, which we won't, or one that doesn't make charges if you make no transactions.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Colling. I think the problem we're in is we're into the realms of commercial banking as opposed to personal banking, where commercial is the optimum word here. They all want to make money out of us.
I
Richard.
know, but
Richard.
I mean, it's a good way to go, but it's very frustrating. I'd rather we spent it than just paid it to the bank on a monthly basis.
Well, yes, I understand your qualms, but we have to put the money somewhere. I mean, it would cost us less if we stuck it under a floorboard somewhere in the Civic Hall, but I don't think that would be a very safe use of the of where we're keeping.
During COVID, it'd
money.
be completely safe.
Well, not if we're having public meetings telling everybody where we keep our money. Richard.
Yeah, I to be honest, I haven't started down that route about looking at our options, but it is next time once I've got through the internal audit, which is going to be in the next few weeks, I'll start looking around, see if we can find somewhere to take the money. It'll offer us a bit of money in return.
Okay.
Or at least break even.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did get sent. There was a kind of a printout that came from CCLA, who provide one of our banking account services, and they, it's basically a discussion of the problems at the moment within the whole sector, that nobody's paying interest, and how we deal with it, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay, so after that discussion of banking, we'll carry on with the agenda. So for the January 2020, that is under documents E. So we have bank reconciliation, all accounts to the end of 31st of January 2021. So we've got cash book 1, cash book 2, cash book 4, and cash book 5, and cash book 6, petty cash. As we don't have petty cash anymore, at some point are we going to delete that one?
Yeah, I can't do it. It has to be done by Realtas, and it probably can't be done until the end of the year, basically.
Okay, thanks for that, Richard. So are they all we'll approve of them? Counting summaries there. Okay, doke. Number 2, cash books, all accounts, receipts, and payments. Have we all been through those? Are we all okay with those? Has anyone got any queries to approve those? Great stuff. And then we now have a trial balance for them to the end of 31st of January 2021. Are we all okay with the trial balance?
Is Richard okay with the trial balance?
As long as it balances, you are doing okay. It's if it doesn't balance, you've got problems.
I'm assuming that our clerk has submitted papers that he's documents that he's okay with, and I think it's our job as councillors to approve that they're okay.
Well, if
So,
they didn't balance, I would have to come up with a description of why they didn't balance. But as they have balanced, everything's okay, basically.
yeah. Okay, so do we approve those? And then the item for the detailed income expenditure by budget heading. Are we all okay? Are we all seen those and we're all okay? If you could just show where do we have to approve these? Thank you. 5, the cash and investment reconciliation to the end 31st of January 2021. Are we all okay with those? They all seemed good to me. And then the last item, number 6, earmarked reserves to the end of the 31st of January 2021. I'm okay with that. Thank you very, very much indeed for that. There's a lot of paperwork to go through there, and thank you to everybody who's had a look at that. Okay, then we have item 2021-81. There are some errors on the accounts.
Before you go on, Councillor, I did also want to send round a more up-to-date budget record that people might want to have a look at as well. Because of the way Realtas is set up, we're always going about a month behind. So we were working from January's figures. So I tried to do one that basically is up to date and sort of goes forward a bit into the future and what we're likely to have left at the end of the year. I don't know whether people want to have a quick look at that. It was E1 it's called.
Is that previewed draft do not submit to HMRC? Is it that one?
No.
Which one is it? Go on.
That's a VAT thing, I think.
Yeah, go on. It is. Yes, that's the VAT, isn't it? I'm jumping ahead of myself. Go on.
It looks like looks like that. I sent it in the second when I resent the email. It came with that. I just wanted to point out a few things in places where we're over budget or under budget, if you don't mind.
Okay, are you okay to talk us through?
Yeah, one bit where I hadn't mentioned that we were over budget, which I probably should, is on administration. We're going to be a few £100 over on that budget, and essentially that's down to the fact that the price of ink cartridges when we're printing out stuff at home is, as you're probably aware if you ever bought any, it's pretty outrageous. Yeah. So I had 5 cartridges bought a couple of weeks ago, and it's like nearly £80 for 5 cartridges, and they don't last particularly long. And Liz is the same and using more. She's working at home more than I am. So that's the reason why the administration is going to be a few £100 over. I mean, in the scheme of things, I mean, we're going to have a lot of money at the end of the year. I calculated that we're going to have about 80,000 left, which is more than we sort of thought a few months ago when we were doing this originally. But
regarding that home printing, did we look at different options for home printing, the cheaper option at one point?
Well, Liz looked into getting a laser printer, but I think she was put off by the sheer size of the thing. And laser printers, at least the printers we've got, tend to be multifunctional and they're not huge. The laser printer was taking up a lot of space, I think Liz said, and it doesn't scan.
Okay, this is not telling me what to do and what not to do, but about a year ago I invested in a new printer, which is a Epson Eco Tank, which rather than cartridges, it uses bottles of ink you just pour in.
All right.
two receptacles and what have you, and it cost me about 160 quid. And it saves me a lot of money. It's come up very much cheaper on printing because you don't have to. I'm not having to buy cartridges anymore. I just buy the bottles of ink, which are far cheaper than a cartridge and hold a hell of a lot more ink. The only downside to it is it doesn't double side print.
Right. Yeah.
So my paper costs are slightly increased, but my ink costs are very much cheaper.
Yeah.
I just wonder if something like that could. It's not a laser printer, but it is a and it does use ink, but it uses bottles of ink that you buy rather than
cartridges.
Cartridges, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll certainly look into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Back to yourself.
Yeah, and then I've just highlighted the things where we're going to be a bit over, just to make you aware. So, in terms of the office equipment, I mean, we only had 300 in that, which is not a great deal, as you can imagine. So that's over purely on the basis of Liz's new laptop. So that's going to be about 115 quid over. The salaries is going to be over because I very kindly got two uplifts this year, and Liz got 2 and I got 3 uplifts this year. So that's why that's going to be about 1,500 over. And then, as you're aware, the electronic support maintenance grant, a finance and management committee budget, that's going to be over mainly because of Realtas, the setup costs. It's not going to be that price every year. That's just the setup costs. And then obviously we've had Zoom subscriptions that we weren't anticipating a year ago. So that's going to be, like, as it says, a couple of grand over. Okay. And then further down, there's just a couple in service provision that have gone over. Patient transport, I think they awarded 2,000 because it was very important to give a £2,000 grant this year rather than the 1. And the dog, I think we've just replaced more dog waste, glove dispensers, and that's why that's rather over. And then the churchyard, I think, it's just cost a bit more to maintain than John was anticipating.
Okay. But those are all approved at the relevant committees and the staffing committees and that kind of thing. So thanks for bringing them to attention. Has anyone got any comments on them before we move on? I can't see anyone, but okay, if that's the case, then we will move on. So now on to item 2021-81, an error on accounts, double payment. Members should note an error in payments in records over December 2020, January 2021. If it's okay, I'll hand over to Richard just to inform us of that, if that's okay.
Yeah, basically what happened is Liz put in an order to Viking, sent me the order, I paid the order, and then I separately got the invoice from Viking and paid that as well. So I ended up paying them twice. Viking got in contact with us to tell us that we'd overpaid, and we said, for our accounts basis, I think it's a bit easier if we get it repaid rather than taking credit.
Credit, yeah.
But I checked our account the other day; it still wasn't there. So we'll keep hassling them to make sure it comes back in before the end of March, basically.
How much money are we talking?
It was I can't quite remember actually. It was around about 200 quid, I think, 180 quid, something like that. Okay, so
it's approximately £200, and it's someone who we regular work and do business with, so we don't think they're going to run off with our 200 quid. And hopefully they will refund us, and that'll straighten out the accounts. Is that where we are?
Yeah, and then the how we try to avoid. I mean, it's very hard completely avoiding human error in these situations, but. Councillor Colling was basically saying that I should only pay the invoice, not orders. If I know an invoice is going to come, just pay the invoice, ignore the orders. It's not always easy because we don't always get invoices, but in this case we do always get an invoice. So in the case of Viking, I should only pay the invoice.
Okay, thank you for informing us that. So is that noted, everybody? Yep. Okay, then item 2021-81, list of regular payments, 2021 to 2022. Has everyone got a copy of that in front of them?
So what we're trying to do with this is basically avoid council or F&M having to approve the authorization of payments. So what we're doing here basically is authorizing all payments on these accounts across the entire year. So it's quite a thing. It's quite a thing that you need to be cautious about.
Yeah.
Don't just agree to it. I was saying to Liz earlier today, there's a few, you might easily argue to get rid of anything ad hoc and just stick to regular things, So the regular things are obviously things like, electricity bills, water bills, subscriptions to things, our pay, everything like that. And that if we do that, you see, I won't be continually bringing schedules of payments for you to approve at committee or to council. It'll make my job easier, and it should make the council's job a little easier as well. So that's the reason. But I would sort of have a look fairly cautiously about which I've taken out some, because we were learning how to do it last year, and so I had things on there which were basically things like printers who were used a lot, but because they were very much ad hoc, that I thought, well, we can't really be putting them on to authorize payment to these people when we've only used them once in the year or whatever. But perhaps if you have a look through and see which ones you think.
Okay, so I think it's just 1 1/5 sides of A4 to go through. Can I just confirm that the ones that have already got a line through, they've already been striked out already?
Well, they haven't been striked out. Basically, I'm saying I don't think they should be there. I don't think there's any.
The ones you've put a line through already, you've pre-identified them as ones you'd be happy to strike out.
Yeah, I don't think they should be there. Yeah, I just don't think they should be there.
And so if we can go through and look through, and if anyone can see anything that they think, just like to query, just everyone have a quick look through and just query. Councillor Davis, then Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think there's a significant problem in going through these because, Rich, these payments would have been authorised at one point. The question I was going to ask is if in terms, so let's, for example,
they would still need to be signed by 2 councillors.
Right.
It's not that's still there. That level of protection is still there.
Okay.
It just means it doesn't have to go to council or to F&M. It just goes to the 2 councillors.
So what I would add as a proviso to this then is if there is a change, for example, in whatever, the Barnsley Chronicle, whatever we pay, if there is a change, then I think that does need to come back, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Yes.
Yeah, that would be my only. That would be my only thing.
That was a lot of my point about staff pay as well. That because I probably haven't been as forthcoming as I should have been in the past year when pay had changed. When we got uplifts, when tax codes changed. So that was part of the reason I did the report. And I think I need to be advising F&M about when payments have changed to do with salaries, pensions, national insurance, tax, and all that sort of stuff as well.
And the other thing I was going to ask, sorry, Richard, second one is, should we put a limit on what we sort of pre-authorize in this sense? Should we say if there was over X amount, then it does have to come back to us? I'm just raising that as a question.
The only difficulty is, for example, things like the maintenance contractors pay, because like in this last month, because of the way the months fell, I had to pay him without authorization in a sense, because the last council meeting was on the 1st of February, and this is obviously the 1st of March. I didn't get John's invoice until the 1st of February. So it was too late for council and he needs to be paid at the end of February. So I've had to pay him kind of without authorization. So that's something perhaps we need to do something in the scheme of delegation or the financial regs. Basically, there is something about it, but it is a bit, you know, it's where the rules of the way we have to do things kind of bounce against the real world situations, unfortunately.
The practicalities versus the procedures.
It's only really John's that cause problem like that, really.
Okay, Councillor Dixon.
I might be a bit thick, but I see these things that say Bulgard, Dropbox, GoDaddy, reimbursements to staff. I don't understand what that refers to.
Well, they're all things, Paul, that where they don't allow you to pay for them by bank order or by a backs payment. You have to pay for them by credit card or debit card or PayPal, and the council doesn't have access to any of those things, unfortunately. So the three of us, I pay for some, Liz pays for some, Michelle pays for some, and we basically get it back in expenses as things stand.
Who are these people and what purpose do they serve?
Bulgard is the antivirus on our computers, which stops people, you know, trying to scam us in certain ways in terms of the way our computers operate. What were the others? Dropbox is basically oh, Paul, I'm going to struggle to explain this.
It's data. It's somewhere where we're data storage, so it's sort of like filing storage that they do for us.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's right. Data storage. GoDaddy is the climate emergency website, and then Microsoft 365 is they do our word processor and our sort of accounting spreadsheets.
Right.
So what I'd hope to do there, because it's coming out of, you know, it's coming out of staff's pay, that I would expect them to be able to get that back quite quickly. Some of the bills are quite expensive, you know. Some of them are £100 or so, and the, you know, like the Zoom's 12 quid every month, you know. So it's not you know, not nothing.
It's not insubstantial. Councillor Colling.
I wonder if we ought to be paying the staff some advance money so that they don't take it out of their bank, incur bank charges, and that they, you know, we pay them in advance every however frequently is appropriate, monthly, quarterly, whatever. They use it and account for it, just as they would with expenses, but they don't have to take it out of their personal account.
I'll stick my hand up because I'd like to start. As an alternative, that also do none of our banks that we work with provide a facility for a corporate debit card or a corporate, you know, payment card that would do all this, which would be a more sensible option?
We are going to look into it. I mean, I think there are problems with councils having this kind of thing. I think it's not quite against the rules, but it's a little bit against. It's a little bit against the rules. I can't remember the logic. Do you remember the logic about it, Liz? You're muted, Liz.
You're still muted.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not muted now, Liz.
All right. It's because you have to have 2 signatures for every payment with our mandates for all our accounts. So what we need to do is set up an account that just has a payment into it, say £100 every month, or whatever we think we're going to need, but it won't have the same mandate as the rest of the accounts. And we haven't got round to it, I'm afraid.
Councillor Hogley.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've just had, from the experience of the land charity, setting up, you can now do online banking with multiple signatories, and it just means you set, you know, you make one person makes the payment, if you like, but it doesn't go through until the next person authorises it. But I think having it as a separate bank account seems quite sensible. but then we would need to obviously have some means of putting what seemed to be about the right amount of money needed each month to cover that, which is sort of effectively what Councillor Colling was suggesting, which is making the money available in advance of when it's needed, but not actually making it personally available to the individuals, because you'd always have to have 2 people authorising the expenditure.
Councillor Dixon?
It just seems strange to me. These payments couldn't they be made by normal circumstances, by cheque or something like that from the council?
Nope.
No, I spent ages looking into trying to do that with Microsoft 365 today, and it's just not easy.
Well, I don't know. It seems to me that we're going backwards rather than forwards.
Councillor Dixon, these companies don't have as such a finance department where anybody sits and receives a cheque.
Well, they ought to go back to having one.
Well, they could do, but we unfortunately we're the little guys and they're the big guys. They provide the service that we need to have, and we can't demand on them how they take our money.
Are we an alternative to these people?
I wish we had.
Certainly not.
I know that personally, I used to pay for my own fuel, and then once every 2 months, produce a load of receipts and get refund, which was what we did at our office. And I always found that was one way of saving some money. So whether it's a way of getting a bonus by getting some money back to Liz or Richard, I don't know. But if it is that it needs to be refunded straight away for their own reasons, that's just what happened with me.
Okay, so we have so just to go over what we discussed with those items that are reimbursed by staff, because it seems as good a point as any to just kind of look to a way forward. I appreciate that we're moving up into the time of year when we're looking at the audit, and so this is not going to be high on the agenda in the same ways as the previous item we talked about. But I think in the year going forward, if we can find some sort of way forward, whether it is a separate account where which has a limited amount of money that goes into it, which would cover these things, and we could pay, and they could get paid going forward. I think that's something we need to look at and address that issue going forward regarding this reimbursement to staff. However, coming back to the item in question, the list of regular payments, going through, has anybody seen anything in addition to the ones that have already been highlighted to be taken off? Well, first of all, is everyone okay with those ones being taken off? I'm okay with all those. It's already been indicated with a line through. Yep. Has anyone got any further that they would suggest could be removed from this list? I'm not hearing anyone come forward. So the next thing is that we approve this. I've taken on board what Councillor Davis said earlier on about if there's a significant change with one of these. Now, a lot of these will be a standard sort of amount of money on a regular basis. How we factor in an anomaly, how that would come to us to be approved if, I think it's a fair comment that Councillor Davis said, if we're paying someone £100 once every month, and then all of a sudden a bill comes in for £2,000, just because it's on here as a regular payment, I think will be, that's an anomaly that I think should come to the council. I don't know how we approve it with that added onto it. Has anyone got a suggestion? Councillor Hogley, then Councillor Davis.
I was just going to say, can we say it's within a, I don't know, 50% variance of the typical bill? And then if it's above that, then it should be brought to the attention of finance. Because I'm conscious of things like, because one thing I'd raise, which I think will probably be under the direct debit bits, I'm not quite sure, is the is picking up the electricity bills that had come through, which I know was sent on to you.
That's a great example of that.
Coxon, where it's sort of a classic thing that keeps, this is the electricity bills for the public toilets and Home Firth, and it was through looking. It wasn't obviously looking at this report we're looking at the moment, but looking at the previous one where it said what different costs were, and I thought, oh, hang on a minute, that seems really high, and that just alerted my attention, which I then brought to the deputy clerk's attention, and then we're going about resolving what the reasons are behind that. But that did rely on me just happening to spot something which I thought just looked unusual, and I think having a variance of, say, if it's, you know, certainly if something doubles, then it should be brought to the attention of the, or at least the, you know, the clerk should look at it and perhaps advise if there's any concerns related to it.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Councillor Davis?
I was pretty much going to say the same thing. I was sort of going to come in with sort of 25%, 30%, but I don't think it matters if it was 50%. The principle's the same. That I think. So I'm happy to go with Councillor Hogley's suggestion at 50%.
Sounds like we have a proposal and a seconder that we will agree this list of regular payments with the exception that if any of them is at a variance of 50% of their normal monthly outgoings, that will be brought back to the committee, and the clerk will raise that. Is that so? Are we have a vote on that? Is that okay? Is that possible? I'll ask Richard first. We're asking him to do something. Would he be okay? Is that a doable?
I suppose it is. Yeah, I do wonder if there are things on there that should perhaps be removed, though. I'm just thinking about the Viking account. I mean, it does make things easier for us if it's on there.
Okay,
the Viking account does vary quite a lot, from peanuts to several hundred quid.
I shall rephrase that then. When we do agree this, we will agree to a variance of 50%. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Now, can everyone have a look through this and come up with anything that they think they should be taking off this then? The clerk's brought us up to Viking. I mean, how often are we purchasing from Viking? Is that once a month, once every quarter?
Once every 2 months?
Once every 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit up and down where it is, just depending on what we buy. And they provide lots and lots of different things, can't you? You can buy all sorts from Viking, can't you? It's not like it's someone who's supplying all the suppliers is electricity and that's all they're doing. Yeah. So they apply lots and lots of different items. So we could be buying all sorts from them at different times. So I would agree that that's possibly one that we can take off there, because it could be, whilst it's the same supplier, we could be buying all sorts of different things. Yeah. So we'll take Viking off.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
I think, Michael, I think the principle,
Davis.
Sorry, the principle is where there are pretty much regular payments, isn't it? That's what we're talking about. So it's those where we have regular payments which are defined, is what, I guess, what we should be saying we're happy with, because we know they are defined. And then where there's others where there is variance on a monthly, bi-monthly, whatever, then they shouldn't be on there.
Well, maybe we just take out all the ones I put as ad hoc, and most of the ones there that, you know, like JRB Enterprise, who provide the dog waste bins, they know we're going to be late with payment anyway, so I'm not sure that it has that great an impact to remove that one anyway.
Okay, we'll take that one out.
And then,
Michael, can I just make a comment? I've just looked at Viking, and it says stamps and things. Don't we buy stamps from the post office?
We don't know.
If you buy stamps from somebody else like that, doesn't it cost more?
No. No, it's the same.
They aren't the post office, are they?
No, it's Councillor Dixon. It's illegal to charge more for a stamp than its face value.
I'm aware of this, so it seems strange that that's a part of a service. I think we still must be draconian if we fetch our stamps from the post office then.
They're all private companies. It makes no difference who we use, whether it's the post office or Viking. They're all private companies. Councillor Blacker?
I'd just ask, why do we use stamps? Why are we still using stamps? Are there certain situations when that's necessary with SAEs, or not, rather than franking?
My minutes.
Some people only receive their minutes by post, Councillor Blacker.
Yes, I realise that, but what about having it using a franking machine? Or is the throughput not enough to justify that?
I don't think it's enough, is it? Rich, Could Liz or Rich bring us in on here a franking machine? I don't think we're anywhere near that, are we?
I mean, we probably only send out under 5 letters a week, probably. It's not.
Yeah, Councillor Hogley.
That's fine.
Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, yeah. Apologies for that. And just checking for the ones that we were saying we'd remove then, is the ones presumably that just say ad hoc, not the ones that say monthly and ad hoc or annual and ad hoc? Because I'm conscious, like John Ford, I'm assuming the ad hoc elements are they expenses or something rather than or bills?
No, I was just thinking when he does other jobs for us sometimes.
Okay. Because similarly, I was just thinking that the one for I think it's YLCA or NALC or one of them is presumably for some of the training courses, and we don't want to find that people can't do the training courses because they can't get the 15 quid authorised.
They know we're going to be late. They know we're going to pay late anyway because they work with local councils, so they're much more aware of our situation than some of the others, really.
Okay, but we don't want to burden the bureaucracy overly. If we can avoid it. Really.
This is a two-sided thing. Part of it is we're trying to get rid of a job, aren't we? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'd agree with Councillor Hogley. I think keep it straightforward. Take the ones that are just ad hoc, where there are others where there are regular payments, such as annual and ad hoc. Leave those in. That would be. I would agree. Yeah. Just take the ad hoc ones out.
Okay, so I shall try and put that together as a proposal, notwithstanding what we said earlier on about the variance of 50%. We'll remove the ones previously indicated, the line stricken through, and all the others that are purely ad hoc, we will remove from this list. All the ones remaining then on the list, we will approve as a list of regular payments. Does everybody understand that?
Yep.
Have we got a seconder?
Yep.
All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Councillor Dixon.
I don't understand why we've got to work in this way, because it seems to me not the best way of doing your business. It means by doing a lot of these payments like they're done, that they're paid before the time and not paid later.
Okay, your comments have been noted, Councillor Dixon, and thank you for that. Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, it's just an opinion, that's all.
Nope, and very valid it is, Councillor Dixon. Okay, item.
Can I just mention, are you going to add in the 50% variance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, that was meant.
Yes.
Sorry, I missed it then if you said it. Sorry.
Yeah, he did say it.
I think we voted on that before.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Thank you for that. Just while we're, I mean, it's not down on here, but Councillor Hogley did raise it, so I think it's point just. I mean, it will be more of a point for CAS because they manage the public toilets. However, I think it's, as we are finance and management, it's well worth, and thanks to Councillor Hogley for raising the point that there's a significant increase, and please correct me if I've got this wrong, but there's a significant increase in the amount of electricity we were being using for the public toilets from November onwards. And this was raised by Councillor Hogley, and Richard's looked into it, and it seems that the reasoning of this is that our tenant at the toilets, is it someone's attic or something?
Monty's Loft, yeah.
Monty's Loft, sorry. Monty's Loft. They the agreement is that we only have one electricity meter there, but they have a spare meter off there, and we haven't billed them yet, or that's not been worked out how we're going to bill them, but we're ongoing with them, so they will pay us back for that electricity, and hopefully that should be resolved by the next meeting. Councillor Colling.
One of the things that's causing the delay is that we're trying to calculate whether they should pay they shouldn't, we agree, we feel that they shouldn't pay the full amount, because a substantial amount of what they've had to spend in electricity is drying out the carpets as a result of the flooding from the loo. So that's the reason for the delay.
But CAS's got that in hand, and they're sorting out an agreement of where they're going to be with that, and then ongoing forward, that'll be paid on a regular basis, and we sort it out. So I'm happy with that. But I just think we should, as it is a financial matter, I thought, and it is CAS's problem to deal with, but I thought it would be it's worthwhile just covering it so everyone in finance and management is aware of that, because it's a financial issue. Okay, moving on. Item We are now on. So a record of regular payment. We're still on 2021-81, I suppose, aren't we? A record of regular payments made under 5.6 above shall be drawn up and be signed by 2 members on each and every occasion when payment is authorised, thus controlling the risk of duplicated payments being authorised or made. Yep. Is that just a note, Richard?
It is.
Okay, I think that's noted. We're all aware. Yep. Okay, then item 2021-82, list of HSBC direct debits 2021 to approve a list of direct debits as per 6.7 of the financial regulations and the RFO to report.
Yeah, so these are the current direct debits that we've got ongoing. The Yorkshire Water one for the toilets, the photocopier, the data protection fee we have to pay every year, the mobile phone and iPad contracts for the climate emergency coordinator, and our internet and telephone. Those are the current direct debits we have ongoing. So basically we have to, you're meant to do this every 2 years, but it probably makes sense to do it every year at this kind of meeting, really. So I'd just like to have those authorised. I don't think there's anything particularly controversial in any of them. The water one does change a lot. You'll probably be aware that in summer it does change a lot, but I think we just need to be aware of it. And like we said before, I'll just report back if it's you know, if it's over. We can do the same 50% thing, of course. And then I've asked for you to consider 2 others, just really to take a job off myself, really, because all these things take a bit of time. Here's Councillor Greaves. Just let me into the meeting. So you know, just I'd like you to consider the electricity at the toilets, which we've just discussed, and potentially the photocopying charges for document logic.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem to me sensible to have those because they are regular things that will be direct debit payments. I mean, the toilets will use electric. We can't get away from it. If that's as provider, then we might as well pay them by direct debit. And then it's, like you say, it's one job less. And the charge for photocopying, I take it they charge us by, it's all linked to, so when we photocopy, it bills them straight away and then they just bill us for what we've used.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so I see no reason why that can't be agreed as well. Has anyone got any comments regards adding those, approving the list and adding those 2?
No, I'd second that and agree with that. It makes perfect sense. Yep.
Okay, all those in favour? Okay, have we got anyone against? Any abstentions? Okay, anyway, that was carried. Okay, doke. Moving on.
Good evening.
It's welcome, Councillor Greaves. How are you?
All good, thank you.
Okay, doke. We're now at item. We're on 2021-83. Have we just done item 21? Have we done 82 and 83? I've lost track.
I think I'm on 83.
Yes, 2021-83. List of HSB standing orders 2021 to 2022. Okay, so these are Unforth Art Week, which is an annual donation by standing order. And then they've got the salary payments, West Yorkshire Pension Fund, and the HMRC, the tax and national insurance, which is wrapped up, I suppose, in the staffing costs. Seems to me quite easier to have if we have a standing order for them to go ahead. I have no concerns about it. Has anybody got any concerns? And has the RFO anything to report?
I need to report, as I said before, that if they change, if any of them change, I will tell you.
Okay, doke. Yeah. So, Councillor Dixon.
The only concern I've got is that when you have such things as standing orders, they're taken out at the beginning of the month, not at the end of the month, when you could be paying them a month later.
No, they're taken out on the day, Councillor.
So just to confirm,
I like to get a bit of credit.
Can I just confirm, we set the standing orders on the date that we want to pay them. So for paying salaries, we set the date when we want to pay the salaries to our staff members rather than making them wait for the end of the month.
I wasn't meaning staff. I wasn't
Okay.
meaning staff. I was meaning
Okay.
other things.
So we have West Yorkshire Pension Fund.
I was meaning things like paying for Kirklees for rates and such things as that.
I don't think there's anything on the standing order approval list regarding Kirklees Council. The only things on it is an annual subscription to Home Firth Art Week, and then our staffing costs is basically, which is to staff personally, West Yorkshire Pension Fund and HMRC. And we set the date when that gets paid. Are we okay to?
Well, HMRC could stand a bit of credit.
Okay.
I like to pay mine twice a year.
Okay.
Behind.
All those in favour of approval of the standing orders for the year 2021-2022? That's carried. Thank you very much indeed, everyone. Okay, 2021-84 banking matters. I suppose this takes as well with what we said before, but mandates. To note, the mandates for the CCLA public sector deposit account have been updated, and new mandates are Councillor Pogson and Councillor Hogley and the RFO. Is that noted?
Yeah.
Okie doke. And then to note, the mandates for Handels Banking have been sent off and are being processed, and the mandates for HSBC are in progress as well. Is that noted, everybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okie doke. Moving on, 2021-85 tenancies. To consider arrangements for management of Home Valley Parish Council tenancies for the new financial year. RFO to report.
Yeah, I owe the committee an apology on this, really. You know, this obviously I'm still quite new in this job and still learning. So we should really have discussed whether we made any changes to our, you know, our tenancy charges in autumn of last year. But it kind of, I don't know, when we were doing the budgeting, it kind of just slipped my mind that we needed to be doing that before that point. So we've kind of implicitly agreed to keep the charges the same as last year already by accepting the budget. So we can't really discuss that. So I apologise for that oversight. So the next time to review it will be in October. So just keep that in your heads, and I will keep it in my head to review the charges in October of this current year. That by and by, I've prepared all. Councillor Dixon's got his hand up.
It's all right. I've noted Councillor Dixon's hand up. I'll let you finish, Richard, and then I'll bring Councillor Dixon in with his contribution.
That's fine.
Thank Thank you, Councillor Dixon.
So basically, in terms of the rents, I've prepared all the letters to go out. They normally go out about this time, the end of February or the beginning of March. They're all prepared and ready to go. And yeah, that's basically it, really. That's where we're at. Everything's ready to be sent out.
Okay, Councillor Dixon.
I think Richard's right, and I think it's on in these times that we've had. I think it's only right to leave things as they are, because before, when they were last discussed, the increases, I think they were left as a standstill then. In the past, the previous clerks have always asked me for my personal professional opinion on these things, and I've done it, given a voluntary assessment. And if Richard wants to speak to me in September with regard to an October report, I'm quite prepared to do the same, and it will be at the same price.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed for that kind offer, Councillor Dixon. Yes, I think, yeah, quite rightly, we should have reviewed these back in August. Sorry, but October, autumn, I meant to say, of last year. And, you know, we didn't do that. However, I think given the year that we've had and the way things have gone with COVID, and just so everybody knows, the tenancies that we've got, I believe, we've got a few bits and that's what we got. We got the toilets. Go on, Richard. Do you know what they are? The tenancies? Just give it a rough down.
We've got maybe 6 garages, 5 or 6 garages, and maybe 8 allotments. Something.
Allotments, yeah.
8 allotments, 6 garages, and I suppose So we're not talking about a massive amount of money. And I think given the COVID situation, I think I don't think we'll be the rest of the parishioners would be accusing us of going easy on our tenants by letting them off this year without having an increase. So I think that's where we are. But I think we must, just as a a point of order, we should review them every year. And we'll need to make sure that we do that again in autumn and make sure whether they go up or they go down, at least we've done our job of reviewing them and making sure we're doing it carrying out our business in a proper fashion. Okay, so thank you for that. So moving on then, item 2021-86, staffing payments. So at this point we agreed that we would go to private session.
Shall I move? Do we know who Cosmic is?
No, I'm sorry, Cosmic's not identified themselves. I'm just assuming they're a member of the public and they're quite welcome to be here. However, the next item is something that we've decided that we would take in private session because it's some data that pertains directly to our staff and their wages. Therefore, if you're...
Could we take it to the end of the meeting and have it as the last item?
No, I think put them in the waiting room.
Do you mind, Cosmic, if we put you in the waiting room? We're not trying not to be rude. I'm trying to be as polite as I can, but we'll be popping you in the waiting room while we discuss the nice item on the agenda, and then we will bring you back in. Unless you can give me an inclination as to why we shouldn't do that, that's what we will be doing. Okay? Just let me know if you don't want us to do that, or you've got any grievance against that or anything. Okay, as you've not indicated anything, I'm going to take that you understand what we've said and you agree to that. So, okay, thanks a lot for your attendance. We'll bring you back in. Okay, with that noted, got any further queries regarding that report from about staffing payments? Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, would we, is it possible to bring Cosmic back in from the waiting room if they're still there? That's I think that's that item done, isn't it?
I don't think they are still there. Looks like they've gone.
Okay, then. I hope I haven't offended them, and I hope they've enjoyed enjoying the listening into the meeting today. Okay, I expect to be on YouTube anytime soon. Okay, it's 2021-87, statement of intent of training. To receive report of any training by council's officers since the last finance and management meeting, attendees to report. Have we had any further reports?
I didn't get a response from Councillor Shield. Member O'Halloran about the climate emergency said it was a very useful session. Nothing raised she hadn't heard of, but was confirmed that they were working in the right direction. And the speaker was a very, very knowledgeable one. The question and answer session was helpful. It was a useful, well-run session, and she would recommend it to others. So that's the climate emergency webinar.
Good. Thank you. Have we any other reports?
Yeah, I've done a couple. I quite enjoyed them, but though, as you will see from the reports I've done, it did create more work for myself than the other one. So it's making me feel guilty and more self-aware. So
a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous. A little bit of knowledge can be dangerous. Yeah.
I think Councillor Colin came out of the same training, where you realise there's more things you need to do and more things you should do, and hence create more work for yourself. So, hey ho.
Thank you for attending anyway. So I think we're down to Councillor Black. Then have we got planning enforcement and appeals?
Well, if I just go back to the climate emergency webinar, because I went to that one as well. I would agree with Catherine's comments. But something to add is that there was mention of a toolkit, and I contacted the speaker, who was going to revise the toolkit for use by parish councils, and nothing's happened. So I need to chase. Obviously, I need to chase that up.
Okay. Has something got broken? We must have something broken if we need a toolkit.
I think the climate's broken.
Yeah. Okay.
Mary, what was that? What did Mary say?
I think the climate's broken.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay. So, Councillor Black, in planning and enforcement and appeals, anything?
I made a bit of a mess of this because I messed up the time, but the speaker, it's one I've been to before, and he provides excellent slides. So I have carefully looked at the slides. It was more or less what you might expect, really.
Okay. And then Councillor Hogley, council vacancies.
Yeah, it was really useful actually, because it was all about the difference between ordinary vacancies and casual vacancies, and how you go about voting on co-opted members if an election isn't called, which is obviously particularly pertinent because we've just had 2 councillors resign. So it was very useful to understand that, and also get some sort of advice sheets, which I've then forwarded on to the clerk for information. Obviously they could be, I'm sure the information sheets are always available, but having things talked through is often quite helpful. So I do recommend these webinars if people have the opportunity to do them, because they don't take very long and they're generally quite useful. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you all for those who's reported on them training sessions. It's always good to get some feedback. Item 2021-88, financial records for the website. To note, the financial records for January 2021 have been uploaded to the council website and they are accessible from the quick links. Okay, that's noted. Thank you. And then item 2021-89, final accounts, internal audit and internal controls. To note, this year Realtus, the firm who supply our accounts package, will be doing our final accounts remotely. This was a recommendation when we first spoke about the Amiga accounts package, and the date will be the 28th of May 2021. It is planned subsequently the RFO will do the accounts in the years ahead. So yeah, we agreed that would be a sort of like a baseline, that they would do it how they expect it to be done going forward, and that would be like, and it would hopefully ease and speed up the RFO doing it in the future, having that first session done naturally by Realtus to sort of crib off in the future. So that's just to note. Are we all noting that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Councillor Hogley, have you got your hand up, or is that a noting?
No, I just wanted to ask the Deputy Clerk how he's finding the Realtus system, and whether, because my understanding was they sort of had a helpline that you could contact with questions. I know when myself and Councillor Davies and Deputy Clerk had it sort of presented to us, it seemed quite user friendly and obviously a good solution for the long run. But now that Deputy Clerk's had a chance to use it, I just thought it would be useful to understand if it has been as useful as anticipated or not.
Well, I think it has, yeah, and yeah, the helpline is very good. They're very quick to solve stuff and deal with problems. You can't correct, as I've said before, you can't correct a mistake. You can't kind of hide mistakes. So if you make a mistake, you can correct it, but it's still there. It's still obvious that you've made the mistake. Yeah. You're having to kind of balance stuff against stuff. Which is quite useful in a sense, but yeah, as you know, when I was doing it by paper, I was correcting stuff all the time, so it's a bit of a change like that. I do think it's slightly difficult. It's a different process, because when I was using the spreadsheet, as soon as I had an invoice, I put that through the book. So even though the money hadn't gone out of the account, we knew that we were committed to pay it. So we, in some sense, we were more aware of what money we actually had. Realtas only really deals with the actual money transactions rather than money we promised to spend or agreed to spend. So it's slightly not as useful in that sense. So I do still do the other record still anyway, just to check it against the Realtas record. The other thing it does very well is that I don't have to do anything with regard to the VAT returns. It calculates everything for you and sends it off for you. So whereas before I was having to calculate stuff manually and send it off to the VAT people manually, it all just happens by magic, and the money comes back to you by magic. So that's obviously something that I really appreciate, because it's a right faff calculating VAT. So yeah, I'm pleased with it. Yeah. It's not perfect, but I'd rather we had it than didn't. Okay, thanks for that, Richard. And then the next item to note: the interim internal audit has been postponed until after the break lockdown. Yeah, that's changed actually in the last few days. RFO to report. So she's looking at the 26th of March to do the interim audit. So we have two different audits. We have the interim one and then the final one. So the interim one's going to be the 26th of March, and the next one will be sometime after the final accounts, which will be in May. So it's probably be May or June, I would have thought.
Okay.
26th of March is the interim internal audit.
Okay, doke. So that's to note. Everyone okay with that? Okay, then to note, Councillor Colling has begun to undertake the internal control checks, but has not been able to check actual paper copies of receipts at the moment. She will not be able to do check mechanically until after lockdown. Councillor Collins expects an interest in reviewing the system of internal controls to better protect against the risk of fraud. Do you want to report anything further there, Councillor Colling?
Just briefly, doing that training made me aware that we don't do any sort of, or I don't believe we do any sort of financial risk assessment on a regular basis. And I want to, Rich and I will get together to say, at some point annually, we should say, well, what is the financial risk for the council this year? Just try to work out what risks we are possibly open to, which I don't think we've ever sat down to think about before.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. So that's to note. Is everyone okay with that? Yep. Okie doke. And then 2021-90 representation to receive a report if any of our representatives have been to any outside bodies that have not been covered earlier. Has anyone been to any meetings of outside bodies? And if you've not been there in person, have you attended via Zoom, Teams, Skype? Other virtual means of meetings are available. Councillor Hogley.
Just a very brief one. The Home Firth Civic Hall Community Trust, because I'm supporting them in the tender process for their planned refurbishment works. So they asked me, and I was approved. I can't remember which committee it was through, to act as a representative for the parish council on that. So I've been to one Zoom meeting on that and due to have another one this week.
Okie doke. Have we got any others? I've had a meeting, attended a meeting with myself, Sean, and I suppose ex-councillor Fionney, now I suppose, if she stood down, regarding youth provision, Homley and their plan going forward, and how they're getting along with that. And they've got seems to be a very capable lady involved called Kerry. I can't remember her last name, who's been involved with various youth projects in London before she moved up here. Quite a sort of like significant projects, and so she's on board and she seems very well up to date with what she, a wealth of knowledge, seems very, very good, and she's the kind of right person that I've got a lot of confidence in her to sort of like really move things ahead with the thing in the project they're proposing in Homley, and with the possibility of widening that out to include the other people providing youth provision across the Home Valley. Okay, so anything further I'll report at a later date. Has anyone got any other meetings that they've been to? So at that point, it comes to the close of the meeting. So I'd like to thank you all very much indeed for your attendance and all your contributions tonight. And I wish you all a good week, and see you all at the next meeting. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Megan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.